welcome back, you two. I'm here with another interview. I'm here with Katelyn Hutchison. She's runs track at a Power Five school, the University of Kentucky. She's a fifth year. She's from Chicago. How are you today, Katelyn?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. We talking quite a bit off camera, but the first question I really want to get into is, what was your decision making on transferring to Kentucky? Because I know you was from a different school previously.
Yeah, so I went to Ithaca College previously to D3 school in
Right.
upstate New York. And the reason why I wanted to transfer had a lot to just do with like my passion for track. Like I'm really
Hmm.
invested on like wanting to be a faster athlete, but also wanting to make the right connection so I can continue to elevate the sport and like be a part of that elevation on like all sides and stuff like that. And so I knew that if I was able to kind of successfully transfer to a Power Five or SEC school, then I could kind of make those things happen. And so it was a really long thought process behind me like entering the portal and like making that decision and figuring out where I wanted to go. But those were kind of like the main reasons why I decided to kind of use my eligibility elsewhere after I graduated.
Okay, we're gonna stick with the transfer portal because right now in college football it's becoming somewhat of a
Yeah.
trend. Can you talk about how it is in track and field? Is it the same type of trend or is it more subtle?
Um, it kind of, I want to say it's more subtle, not I mean, okay, how do I put this? So like with football, I feel like it's more obvious because there's a lot more players and stuff, and I feel like there's a lot more politics and things that are involved. So, people care a lot more about football, and you've got like the top recruits and like the top players transferring to whatever other school they go to next. Like obviously that's going to create a lot of like, talk, but with track, not too many people care about us, especially in America.
Mm.
So like when we transfer, it's not too much of a big deal outside of like us. But like I think the most recent things that we saw this past season was like a bunch of kids transferring to Arkansas and Tennessee and Florida especially, just pretty much creating these powerhouses that are all going to be vying for the national championship indoor and outdoor this year. And so,
Right.
it seems kind of subtle on the outside, it's very like big on the inside when you've got like the top sprinter in the country deciding they want to transfer to a different SEC school. And I think another reason why it's a little subtle is because, um, for what I've seen, like a lot of us don't necessarily announce that we're in the portal. We just announce that we're at our next school when we're at our next school. And I think that's a really interesting thing. I don't really know why we do that, but I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it's probably the trend right now. A lot of people believe, let other schools know that they're going there, maybe in hopes to get more talented athletes in that sport to join them as well to stack kind of the deck a little bit. But I mean, to each their own. You can see that sometimes you might need a stellar deck to win a championship. So I can't speak too much on it. It's been proof in like professional sports such as the
Right.
NBA, NFL, and college football, so stuff of that nature. But do you believe you possess all of the tools and abilities to compete at a Power Five? Because like if you compete at a Power Five, that's the top of the top, especially in the SEC.
Yeah. That is an interesting question to answer. So I'm gonna put it like this. So I feel like I do have the tools. Like at the basis, I feel like I got my little toolbox. But if I can put it with an analogy, I got my tools because, obviously, like I've been through college track before. Like I've been through 4 years of like competition, like vying for conference championships, trying to be a national champion. Like I've been through all of that hell before. So I have the knowledge, the experience, and the tools from that. But I feel like when I was at Ithaca, I got there, they gave me the toolbox and they were like, here, build a house. And so I built the house, wasn't perfect, wish I could have spruced it up a little bit before I left, but wouldn't trade that house for a world. For the world, I feel like it was my baby, right? But now
Hmm.
I've got that same toolbox, and someone's handing me the blueprints to build a mansion. But the thing is that the blueprints change every single day, and there's like a bunch of different demands that are happening like all the time, and like they want this mansion built at like this exact point in time. So it's like, yeah, I have the tools, but I'm really just learning how to like use them or like reuse them, and like learning what tools are used for the right reasons, and like, sometimes those reasons change, or like they're different between what I've used them for at Ithaca or what I'm using them here for at Kentucky. So it's kind of just like me kind of figuring out this new ball game, because
Hmm.
obviously I've never built a house or a mansion before, but I still have to do it. So we're just really kind of putting ourselves out there in that kind of space.
Okay. When it comes to maybe the SEC, track and field championship, do you think you'll depend more on what you have in your toolbox or more on instinct when it comes to those races and stuff?
I think it's gonna have to be instinct, mainly because a lot of what Coach Green teaches at Kentucky is like, just not thinking. That's like his big thing with me, especially in particular, because he knows I think way too much and it like cripples me to no end. And he's like, if I can just get you to shut up in there for like 2 seconds, like you're gonna be good. So I think a lot of it is gonna be instinct, and so that's kind of like what I'm learning, like how to change my brain into like, that killer, or what people be saying, like, they got that dog in them. That's what I'm trying to do. And that's really what's going to be what it comes down to, because once you get to the SECs, it's damn near like a mini national championship meet. I mean, we've seen the stats and stuff like that. And so I can't, necessarily rely on, oh my God, like I have to think about everything that Coach Green has been teaching me in practice for like the past 5 months. It has to be like, snap and like just be ready to fight, because everybody else is going to be on the line trying to do the same thing. So there can't be a lot of like, let me figure out how to put this stuff together while I'm on the line. It kind of just has to be something like internally that I can rely on to kind of just run and do what I have to do.
Right. And how much trust and faith do you have in your coaches that they have the teaching development for you to be ready to compete at the
Man,
SEC championship?
I have a lot of trust in them. That's part of why I transferred to Kentucky too. I mean, I've seen what Coach Green has done in terms of like making girls drop like 4 to 6 seconds off their 400 time. And like, that's literally what I'm trying to do. My PR is a 55.9. I want to run 50 point. I mean, it would make a lot of sense to go to the coach who's done it before.
Right.
So, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Like, you can't just, um, randomly take a girl from like a 55 400 to like a 51 second 400. Like, you have to know what you're doing, especially if you've done it multiple times, because at that point it's not an accident, it's not a fluke, it's not like something else that they were doing. Like, that comes from your teachings and the things that you've kind of instilled in them. So just from seeing that, and like, obviously like the conversations that me and him have, and like how I obviously see him treat our other teammates, I kind of just feel like, yo, like, I don't have to think for myself no more. Like, the man got to figure it out. So I'm gonna just listen to him and then keep it pushing.
Okay. Okay. And who exactly inspired you to run track?
Who inspired me to run track? When so in 8th grade, we got a flyer from like I think she was a 3rd grade teacher at the time. It don't really matter, but she used to run track, and she was like, y'all should run track. And I was like, oh, my mom ran track, so I'll run track, because I used to play basketball when I was like, before I got to the school that I was at in 8th grade. But when I transferred there, they didn't have basketball teams, so I like wasn't doing anything for a couple years. So I was like, yeah, my mom ran track, so I'll do it. So I want to say that my mom kind of inspired it, because that was kind of the first thought that came to my head when I saw that flyer. But in terms of like continuing to inspire me to run, would definitely be my dad, in terms of like family, because I mean, I used to run like complete crap. I don't know if I can curse. I'm not gonna curse, but I used to run like complete like it was really bad. If you want to see, like, I have videos of me on TikTok of like me running in high school. It was actually like horrendous. And it didn't matter. Like, to him, he felt like I was on track to being like the next Olympian, and he would tell any and everybody that would listen. Like, he would even tell you. I know he don't know you, but he would come to you and be like, "Yo, like, you interviewed my daughter. Like, she goes to the Olympics. Like, you gonna be glad you interviewed her." I'd be like, "Man, relax." But definitely those two, like, at the basis of it. And then just like athlete wise, like Wadelin Jonathan is like my absolute idol. I love her so much. I can't wait till me and her race one day because I told her that I was coming. But she is the D3 record holder in the 400. And her last year, she transferred to South Carolina. And within that span of a year, she dropped like 2 or 3 seconds off her 400. And then ended up making the world team in Doha that same year, ended up splitting a 49 and got a gold medal on that 4x4. So I'm like, you're my inspiration. I want to be just like you. So yeah.
Okay. Well, we reached the end part of our interview. So at the end, I give athletes a little moment to say any message that means something to them. It could be anything of your choosing. Do you have a message you want to give? It's okay if you don't. I have one
Yeah.
athlete that did give a message.
Yeah, I have one. This is gonna sound like really, really corny, but I love One Piece. One Piece is my favorite anime ever, and the amount of times that I've seen Luffy get knocked on his butt, I try not to curse so bad. The amount of times that I've seen Luffy get like knocked down is crazy, and this man still runs around the damn world. Darn it, I cursed. He still be running around talking about how he's gonna be king of the pirates, and in my mind, I'm like, if Luffy can stand up to all these people and be like, yo, like, I'm the man now. Like, I'm gonna be king of the pirates. Why can't I, pursue the dream of wanting to be a national champion or an Olympian and stuff like that, despite kind of, what my transition into being where I am now is. So that's just a message I have to say. If y'all want to be king of the pirates, y'all can do that. That's what I want to say.
I like that message. Good reference with anime. I really like that. Well, I want to thank Katelyn for taking the time out of her busy evening for sitting down with me, to talk a little bit about her and her story. You can catch this video on my YouTube channel, and I'll see y'all in the next interview.
Thank you.
Thanks.